What's good, wagering world? It's your boy Five Star in Vegas, broadcasting live from beautiful Summerlin, Nevada. This is the Wagering World, and I'm in here with my co-host, the OG of the show. He's been with me since day one, the only Sacramento Kings fan that I know. What's good, Spreader? How are you today?
Man, I'm excited. Boy, talk about a tough time for the Kings fans, right? I know Mavericks fans are mad about trading Luka, but I feel the same way with what we did for Halliburton, right? We got an older, more established power forward, but the younger guys really coming into his own, and the Indiana Pacers fans have to be happy that he's leading their team. And I'll just jump into it right now. We got to give you credit. The last time, might not have been the last time, but before the series picked off, you were on Indiana. I was on New York. We each gave our reasons. And so obviously, congratulations there. You definitely got me there. And so we're always looking at what did we get wrong here? And for me, boy, and you told me, and it's crazy because you've always been so high on Brunson, so and just saying we like someone better doesn't mean that we're saying that Brunson's a bad player.
Right.
I thought, Brunson's better than Halliburton. And what I'm always looking for is things that don't show up in the box score. And where I think that Halliburton, I'm not giving him credit. He really does a great job of controlling the pace of the game. Just a great feel for it. He knows when they're down, he knows when to speed up. When they got a little lead and the Knicks are rattled, he knows when to bring it back a little bit, right? And keep the ball out of their hands and make them work on defense. And, they're usually quick, but hey, we'll make them work a little longer. I was really impressed with Tyrese Halliburton, and obviously disappointed he's not doing it for our team, but it's good to see the young man have success. So pretty exciting overall, and congratulations on you for picking the Pacers. I mean, you didn't take the games, you took the money line straight up for them to win the series, and you had to be happy cashing that ticket.
Yeah, because it boiled down to, remember when we broke down. Well, the initial thing that made me change to the Pacers, man, was the celebration by the Knicks fan base and the team. They took the Pacers for granted, and I felt that was really weird. You would think that the leaders of the team, Brunson, Cat, would have said something after the Celtics series, finished. Like, hey, man, we still have more work to do. Our mind is on getting to the finals, but everyone kind of celebrated the same way as the fan base. And it was just the first thing to say, wait a second. These guys think because they beat the champs that they're going to have a cakewalk, and they lost to the Pacers last year in the same manner that it happened this year. So it was a pretty easy cap for me. And then also, if you remember, Spread, we started going through the players. And when we looked at the players, I told you that I felt the best player in the series was Tyrese Halliburton. Even though Pascal Siakam won the conference MVP, well deserved. He's the veteran presence of that team. He's the guy that can go get a basket. But we all know, similar to like when Magic Johnson was with the Lakers, Tyrese Halliburton makes his team go, and you don't see all of the things that he represents for this team through the stats. You don't see the way he controls the game through the stats. So that's why it was easy for me when we compared the two. I told you, no, Halliburton's the better player, just because I knew that Brunson would be exposed in this series, because we have one of the best coaches of all time in Rick Carlisle over in Indiana. A lot of people thought he was crazy when he left Dallas and went over there, but he had a plan the whole time. He's very close with Larry Bird. Larry Bird is very involved with things with the Pacers still, and they had a plan, man, and they practiced patience. And the continuity of this team with them bringing back everyone is why they were so successful. You saw the videos of Pascal Siakam having them come to his place, and everyone practiced. The whole team was there. So I think that the Pacers were built perfectly. They have the perfect coach, and they have the perfect star guy in Halliburton. One of the few guys we've seen since Magic Johnson, since Jason Kidd, that can play at a really high speed, push the tempo, and still protect the ball at the same time. We talked about this a couple years ago when this trade first went down on the show, Spread, that your Kings were making the wrong decision by investing in De'Aaron Fox and not investing in Tyrese Halliburton. I think Fox did a little crying to the owner, and he played him because we all knew that Fox had no intentions of ever staying in Sacramento. His wife didn't like the area, So I just think that was just a totally bad move.
Well,
And
I also one of the problems due to the contract when McNair went to deal, he wanted to deal Fox first, but there just wasn't a lot of interest. And the reason that Halliburton drew so much interest was, of course, now he signed the extension, and congratulations to him for that. But at the time, it was a cost-controlled rookie contract, and we can see how important that is. As it's kind of like that whole Russell Wilson deal now. We're seeing a lot of these teams now making the finals, and they got their top players on the rookie deal still. Some of these $50-60 million deals for the guys over 30, as great as they are, they're eating so much of the cap space. It's hard to put a good team around them.
I think that it was a really dominant performance by the Pacers, and somehow this series got your guy Tom Thibodeau fired. I want to get your opinion on that. I know you're tied into coaches and, firings, and I know that you're a guy who likes to give guys a chance and, let them, do their thing for a while and let things play out. And I tend to be the same way. And once again, I think our patience comes from us being sports bettors in a business where you have to quickly turn the page on things, and you also have to play it long term. So what do you think about the firing by Worldwide West? That's William Wesley, who pretty much runs the team, even though Larry Rose is the face, he's the president. But his good friend, William Wesley, is honestly the guy who makes a lot of the personnel decisions in cohesion with, Leon Rose. What do you think about them letting go Tibbs at this time?
I hate to do this. I'm a little surprised. He's got the team better every single year, but it really depends on who they replace him with, right?
Yeah.
I could see some arguments for it. And I think the issues with Bridges, and they said the right things in the media, but it was clear that those two weren't getting along. Especially when you look at Bridges' lack of involvement on the offensive end. I mean, they didn't run any plays.
I don't even blame Thibodeau for that. I blame that on his boy Brunson. I mean, he's calling plays. No head coach in the NBA under my many years of watching the NBA and also being friends with a couple of guys who coached in the NBA. One, as you know, was a head coach in the NBA and still is. And just chopping shop with them, I've always been told that the point guard calls his own plays. That's one of the reasons why Rondo got ticked off at Rick Carlisle, because he was over managing him. And I think that kind of helped Rick Carlisle to deal better with Tyrese Halliburton, because you could tell he lets him just go and do his thing. The point guard is kind of like the quarterback used to be in the 70s and 60s in the NFL. They call their own plays. So if Brunson's coming down, you remember my biggest gripe about him on X is, man, these are other pros around you, dude. Every guy you're playing with, especially in the starting lineup, was the man at their high school, was the man at their college. Even Josh Hart was really I think he was the national player at Villanova. So, Malik Bridges was as well. I mean, Mikal Bridges, excuse me. So I'm saying you have to feed these guys, even if they just touch it. Just let them touch the ball. Brunson going down and just backing his guy down like it's, 85. And, I think his dad was kind of encouraging that. You got to let your team get involved. I know you can get a bucket, but it hurts the team morale when people don't feel involved. And he should have called more plays for Bridges. I know to still call a pin down for Bridges. And if he misses, he won't touch the ball again, man, until the next half.
Yeah.
So
and Brunson's already paid too. So it's not like he had an incentive to run up his own stats there.
He just was, and it exposed him for so many things. I like Brunson as a player, but now we got to wonder, the coach that they're bringing in, will he be able to control him? Because it seems that Tibbs was fighting Jalen Brunson and Rick Brunson. And I know that Brunson said all the right things in the media. He's a sharp kid. He's been schooled by his dad, who's been a pro before. But what kind of showed me that it was more to it than what people were saying is, remember that the reporter asked Jaylen Brunson specifically, he said, is Tibbs the right guy for this job? So what does that tell you? Either his dad or him has talked to a media member that they knew, and it had got around the media room in New York at one of those you know, people who are covering it, whether it's a paper or whether it's a TV station. I don't know exactly who asked the question. But the thing is, they don't just ask questions for no reason. And why did Brunson react like he did? Of course he is. And then he gets up and leaves the interview, right? So I feel like it was a mutiny. It was a coup. And it probably was the Villanova boys and Rick Brunson. I'm sure Brunson has the ear of Wesley, William Wesley. So I think that it was definitely an inside thing where they were saying they want to do more things. But I think that Brunson needs to also look in the mirror because, bro, look at the other point guards. SGA, yeah, he scores a lot of points, but SGA is more than a team guy. He makes sure before he was the MVP, if he's doing interviews, he's making his guys feel a part of it. When he got the MVP trophy, he made those guys feel so part of it. Now, it's clear that he's the leader and he deserves that because he was the one in the forefront that went to OKC when no one else would do it and didn't run from it like LeBron and a lot of guys do, like KD does, and run from trying to build something. And he built something really good, but he also shares the ball. Like other guys for OKC can get theirs. It's more like he just closes. I feel like Brunson doesn't play point guard enough. He needs to try to work on getting his team involved because he can get his at any time. So that means you got to get your guys going, man. You cannot just pound the ball and then think about this spread. He's doing all this ball hawking and then coming back and being the worst player on defense. So they got to cover for him on defense, and then you're not passing us the ball, right? So I think that Tibbs was kind of like the foul guy. Who do you think becomes the next coach for the Knicks?
Who are they saying? Oh my gosh.
It's some terrible people I heard. I heard
he's an assistant in Cleveland right now, but he was with the Knicks beforehand.
No, I'm hearing your guy from that used to coach Sacramento.
Malone?
No, not Malone. Try again.
Mike Brown?
Again. Who was your last coach?
Was it Mike Brown?
Yes, they're saying Mike Brown and Luke Walton. So
I personally like Mike Brown, and I think he got a raw deal, but I don't know if he's.
What's the difference
what does he do better than Tibido?
It's not a big difference.
I don't think so either, unless it's just the player relations.
I'm rooting for Sam Cassell, my buddy. Shout out my OG Webb. He's friends with Cassell. I'm friends with Cassell too. When he was out the league already, and I was a younger guy, I had a spot in Houston over on Reams and Harwin. Me and my boy Big Bank Hank both had townhomes, and it was a little gated area with a security on the front, and a lot of players stayed over there, and Cassell lived over there, and I met him because him and Hank used to hang real tough. He's a funny guy, but he's paid his dues on the bench, man. He's really paid his dues for so many years. I feel like he deserves a shot. I thought the Rockets were going to give him the shot, but I couldn't be mad when they got Udoka. But Sam Cassell is the guy that I'm hoping that gets the opportunity in New York. I think that he'd do well. I think he's a guy that the team will respect, and he can actually say something to Brunson and to his dad. All right, let's get to the next game in the past.
All right, well, so did you want to bring up this thing with the DraftKings?
We'll go over that at the end, right before the ball and parlay. We'll chop it up about that a little bit.
Okay. All right. So we just talked about the Pacers advancing. We talked about Tibbs being fired, which, I mean, every firing is like this, but for me, it's hard for me to actually come down on what, for example, when Mike Brown got fired, you couldn't talk me into that being a good idea. I just didn't think Sacramento was going to be able to get someone better. And I don't think Doug Christie's better. I think that we've downgraded. But New York's got a chance, right? I mean, they right? Like if they were to get Villanova's Jay Wright, I mean, would you think that would be an improvement?
It depends because we've never seen Jay Wright coach in the NBA. It makes sense, but this is a different ball game. We haven't seen the success translate for college coaches. I can't think of one besides maybe Larry Brown back in the game that was successful at Kansas, won the national championship with Daddy
Brad Stevens.
Who did you
say?
Brad Stevens. Brad Stevens,
right?
Yeah, definitely Brad Stevens. So maybe so because Jay is a bright guy and he's very charismatic. He also is respected by those guys on their team, like Brunson and like Mikal Bridges. I keep calling Malik Bridges. Sorry, Mikal Bridges. My thing with Jay Wright coming out of retirement, okay, it's no travel for us and recruiting and stuff, so that's a good thing. Longer schedule. It's just about his energy. I'd give him a shot. I mean, you could do a lot worse than him, but it's just not guaranteed. You look at Billy Donovan. He was outstanding at Providence, come to the league, doesn't do well, go back to college to Florida, wins back-to-back national championships with Al Horford and that team back in the game. And then now he's been in the NBA a long time, and we haven't seen a lot of success from Billy Donovan.
He's average. So, he's literally like an average coach in the NBA.
Yeah. Rick Pitino would be the guy that I would have thought had the most success, and he didn't do well. I mean, we've seen them all come and go. I mean, you haven't seen a lot. Most of the time, guys who are pro coaches and guys who are college coaches. And the reason why most of all is ego, because guys who are in college kind of run the whole program. They're the face of the program. In the NBA, you got to be able to be respected and your voice means something and players respect you, but also understand that it's about the players in the NBA, not –
Well, it's a different skill set, right? I mean, college is about recruiting. I mean, if I get 5 better players than you, go ahead, drop all the genius players
but you got to be
right?
5 better players that listen, because how long did Calipari have the #1 class at Kentucky? And you would think they would have won 10 straight championships, and I only think he won 1, and that's because he had.
But it also seemed like he was only really worried about developing them for the pros. It didn't even seem like they were.
Yeah, he was a good guy. Calipari's a good guy. It seems like that's what he sells to the parents, but he also
that I'll get you go to the pros for me.
Yeah,
it seemed like a lot of times he wasn't doing the optimum strategy. He was showcasing his best guys.
But the thing about it, the showcase was so funny because all of the wrong guys were on the bench. Like Booker never started. Jamal Murray never started. Cat never started. And Cat, you didn't even know he had all of that shooting, skill, because he didn't let him play outside, which is kind of good, because I wish Cat had played more down low. He has to do something with his offense in the offseason, or they're going to make him the next scapegoat and trade him too, because he's a defensive liability for them. And when you think of Cat on offense, it's shoot a 3 or just run at you full speed and kick you. Like Karl Malone used to do that as well, but Karl Malone also had that great back to the basket game where he could hit you with the turnaround with a hook from both sides. Cat needs to get back in the paint and develop some of his big man skills. He might need to go back to the Pete Newell camp. Remember that? He needs to go back.
That used to be the best thing that could happen.
Yeah, because he's forgotten how to, from playing this new style of the NBA, man, he's forgotten completely how to play down low. You remember I said Miles Turner or him. Do you still think Cat's the better player
than Turner?
I think this series has changed your mind on a couple of those Knicks that you were high on.
Yeah, I think the one I really said was Mitchell Robinson, and Turner definitely outplayed him in this series.
Miles Turner is going to be the most sought after probably free agent this summer, because that kid can do so much.
I hope he stays.
I
really do.
He will. I hope so. I think that he stays, and Julius Randle. I heard a report coming out from Windhurst that said he thinks they both stay. I think they both can pay him the most, if I'm not mistaken. Don't get me into it. I'm not a contract expert, but I know the Lakers are going to be throwing a lot at Miles Turner, trying to get him to L.A.
Yeah, he fits a lot better in L.A. Randall, I actually wouldn't mind. If I was Minnesota, I would move on from him personally.
No, man, you can't move on off him. Well, you got to have.
You don't think so? You don't think that this team's reached their ceiling where they're at? Like, I don't know.
Let's go on and get to that series, and we'll discuss that a little bit.
Yeah, let's talk about it. OKC, I mean, it was a dominant win. They were clearly the better team. We were excited about the way Minnesota matched up, some of their size and their rebounding advantage. But at the end of the day, Oklahoma City's depth, and I'm not talking about their bench players, just, their old joke, right? We were young. You go, who's the best player? Who's the best player on the floor? Right. Now you say, who's the worst player on the floor of the closing 10? Because they're going to get targeted. on defense, and that weak link, just makes it too easy for these top scorers. So I just thought Oklahoma City had a lot of depth because who are they going to target? That starting five and the way they close, there's not a lot of defensive liabilities out there. And so give credit to them. But I just felt that this Minnesota team in its current iteration with Randall and Rudy had reached its peak. I think they're stuck with Rudy. I can't imagine them getting off his contract. So I might just let Randall walk and try and use the space. But you think they should run it back with Julius Randall, huh?
But who are you going to replace him with? Because they have a really bright future with Minnesota. Like, I'm really, really high, of course, on Ant. We know that. And Ant reminded people, showing his wisdom, that, man, I'm 23. Like, he was like, I won't hurt Mike Conley. Because the end of the day, these kids are all learning it. They're driving me crazy on Rockets Twitter. I think I'm going to get out of it because I get all of these tweets from these guys that tick me off, just talking so bad about Jalen Green and acting like it doesn't matter that he led his whole draft class, and games played is more important than anything. But then also in points. And this is a draft class with Cade Cunningham, with what's the kid's name over at Orlando? What's his name? Mo's brother from Michigan. He could play.
Franz Wagner.
It's all types of people. The kid from Toronto's in that draft. It's just a really talented draft. If you go look back at the 2021 draft, and his numbers are heads and shoulders over everyone. He's only been coached professionally the last 2 years by Udoka, because I don't even count the previous coach, because he didn't know what he was doing, and he was, setting a really bad standard for that kid. But he and Anthony Edwards are the same age, and they're both going through growing pains, man. Anthony Edwards faced the best defense in the whole NBA. They don't look like it when they get off the bus, but when you watch them, it's like it's 10 against 5 when they play defense the way that those guys swarm. I don't know how Donyat was able to create such a a great style of defense. That defense is like I want to say maybe like an amoeba. Like, it kind of switches from zone to man, but everyone knows where they need to be. And it's one of the best NBA defenses I've seen in a long time. Chet Holmgren is thin, but, man, he plays a lot bigger than his width, with his ability to use his height and length, man, to deter you from going to the basket. And those guys would just work in unison so well together. But they gave Ant fits. And Jalen, he had fits because he's playing a 7-time world champion, Olympic Hall of Fame head coach who was really good at designing defense to take away the number one option. And his number one concentration was Jalen Green. So that's what happened. So that series was on Sagoon. Sagoon had one-on-one coverage. He couldn't beat one-on-one, and that's what Golden State was banking on. We've talked about that before. But my point is, Minnesota's young. Ant understands that he's young. They're going to be back. They do have a really great core. I think that over time, Jaden McDaniels is going to keep emerging. I've always said that I compare Jaden McDaniels and Ant to, they could be the modern day Jordan and Pippen if they're focused and they lock in right, because both of them have the same exact skill sets that those players had that dominated the NBA for a long time. It's the two best wings playing together in the NBA. And if Jaden McDaniels continues to develop, I think that he can reach that level. He's a really, really good player. I've been on him since Washington. He's 6'10", can do a lot on the court, a lot more than he's actually allowed to do. He's pretty much turned into just a corner three-point shooter. But as they expand their team, if they do let go Randall, then maybe, they open up the offense for him more. But who I really like over there is Terrence Shannon, man. Terrence Shannon has a chance to be a really good running mate with Ant. He was hurt this year. Outstanding at Illinois, outstanding at Texas Tech. Most of all, he's a dog. And, those type of guys, when you have the skill set and the heart, you're going to go far in this league. And I think that him and Ant will do really well. We'll yet to see about Rob Dillingham, kind of like his old teammate Reed Shepherd with Houston. He didn't get a lot of playing time, but he looked good in the times that he got in. And I think that he's going to be okay and soon be the successor to Mike Conley. I don't think Conley's retiring next year. He looked pretty good this year. And also Jalen Clark. Keep an eye on Jalen Clark from Minnesota too. Kid from UCLA had a lot of injuries, but he can play as well. They need Rounder at least. I'd put him on maybe a show improved contract, like something that's heavily, related to like performance, because those kids are still kids. That's a really young team. Ant carries himself like an elder statesman. We've been watching him play now for 5 years, so he seems like a veteran, but he's still a kid. So they need one guy in that locker room like Round who can get a basket. And I mean, who do you replace him with if they don't keep him? I'm hearing KD. Now, KD would be nice if he could play enough games, as long as he's not injured. I think the KD would really work well with them if he replaced Rounder. Now, I'd do that if I was them, because they're in championship win mode like now. So only upgrade I can see is KD for them.
The only reason I would be hesitant to re-sign Randall, the way the NBA salary capture is structured right now, these third contracts end up being an albatross. It feels like 2 out of 3 times.
Yeah.
Where you're going to get a year or two where he's going to play to his value. And then those last 2 years, and that's where I really think the NBA has so much weakness to where if you make one mistake, right, like the Bucks made the mistake with Damian Lillard. Yeah. He's just not the same player that he was. And you're just stuck now. You're just absolutely stuck. Because you're giving him $60 million. He's probably worth 22, and you can't get rid of it. And I think the flexibility is so important with the way it goes. I just would worry about locking myself in. Even if it's a temporary downgrade, the long-term flexibility, I think, would be something. I mean, like you said, Ants, what did you say, 23, 24? Yeah. I want to close I just don't want to lock into a guy that ends up being a net negative, a year or two after the deal signed.
Real quickly, just to piggyback on what you said about the Bucks signing Damian Lillard. I hope that if any of my Houston Rockets fans are watching, they see the moves that were made by teams like the Knicks when they got KD, Harden, and Kyrie. The Suns when they got KD. The Bucks when they got Lillard. Just because you go get a name doesn't mean that it's going to make the team win, because it is a such thing as team chemistry, guys. It is a such thing as repetition, continuity, being together, knowing how this guy plays. Because most of these teams, now the way that they play, you got to understand how the player next to you is going to react in certain situations. If not, then you guys are still figuring out. The Rockets have came a long way. They're in the same little group to me with the Pacers, and OKC is a team that's deep, got a lot of young players, got some draft picks. Just stay together, man. You don't need to go get anyone but maybe a role player like OKC did. Like, just go get a role player. You don't need any big names, man. We're seeing that that's not the way to do it. It's back to team basketball as we see by the finals.
Yeah. And these players, it's all name value, right? I mean, it's just Kevin Durant's not nearly the player he was 2 years ago. Not nearly the player he was when he dragged those guys. And he's only going to get worse. I mean, I hate to say it because he's had a great career, and, I enjoyed watching him, and it's kind of too bad he turned himself, If he would have had advisors, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, stay in Oklahoma City his whole career. He might be as popular as like Kobe Bryant,
Yeah, he could have just stayed with OKC forever, man.
Yeah, he could have been a real popular player. But regardless, so we've talked about that. So we're kind of differing on what Minnesota should do, and we'll see what they end up doing. And hopefully, if they do re-sign Julius Randle, they can get a good effort from him. Because it did feel like it took about half the season for him to even integrate. So maybe they hit the ground running. They're higher than the 6th seed. They don't play. To be fair, they actually won their first series fairly easy, with it 4-1 in each one of them. So it's not like they were really put to the test there as the 6th seed, but they have the potential to keep going. So we will see. Both these teams that lost in the Eastern Conference Finals. I would be hesitant to overreact, but obviously the Knicks don't care about that. Thibodeau's gone. Seems like Minnesota is being a little more prudent here. I mean, Finch is going to stay for sure, but, they might just run the whole thing back and say, hey, 2 Western Conference Finals in a row. We're really close. And like you said, add that proper role player maybe that's more important. Let's look at tonight. The Indiana Pacers. Man, I've underestimated them all year, and I think they're going to go out in a gentleman's sweep here. But, hey, I've underestimated them all year. What do you think of tonight's game? Indiana Pacers, Oklahoma City Thunder. I got Thunder in 5.
Okay.
But that is the least lucrative return, right? So it's what the sports books expect as well. Indiana Pacers, Thunder tonight. The line's 9.5. How are you approaching game 1 here? Can the Pacers exceed expectations once again?
This is a wait and see, because this is how I look at this one. Very much so, the Pacers could go in and win tonight. I would lean to take the points just because they've been the best road team in the whole playoffs. Even better than the Thunder this year on the road. So I think that continues, and that all comes from just preparation and sound game planning by Rick Carlisle and his staff. As far as in what I play on the game tonight, I'll probably play SGA to go over. I think it's high. It's like 33.5. I think he can get to 35. And the only reason why is because we just saw the way that Carlisle approached playing Brunson. I think he does the same thing with OKC, where they guard the shooters, they don't leave them, and they just play SGA one-on-one and say score 100 points, because he can't. And sooner or later he'll get tired, and they'll probably try to hunt him a little bit on defense and try to get him in some foul trouble. But the only way I don't see him going over that number is if the game turns into a blowout, which the line says that it very much could be. But I'm a Pacers guy, man. Like, they haven't let me down yet, so why would I start going against them now? So if I'm going to play it, I would take them with the 10 points. They have lost twice this year to OKC, but hell, the Knicks hadn't beat the Celtics any in the regular season as well.
Right.
And the Knicks had dominated the Pacers. None of that means anything when the postseason is always a new season. So I lean toward plus 10 at the Pacers. I'll probably play the over on points for SGA, and that's all based on the fact of me. I just think that the way that Carlisle stops their offense and slows them down is by making him beat them just by himself and take away all of his help.
All right, my play. So, like I said, I like Thunder and 5 in this series. My play
What's
for
the
tonight
number for plus 2.5? Because I was looking to play it today when I go to the casino. I haven't played it yet. I was looking for it on my app, and I don't even see it. Oh, here it is. This is what I was looking for. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna go with the series spread. Let's see if I can get this up real quick. Yeah, I'm going with the series spread. I'll take the Pacers plus 2.5 at plus 110 for sure. Because I definitely think that Indiana can win a game in Oklahoma. And I know they're going to
What number are you getting on that?
I got plus 110, plus 2.5.
Okay. I'm sure I can get over 5.5 series games at plus 115.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm getting the same bet.
Not really, because what if the Pacers sweep? It's not likely, but
yeah, I mean, I'll take my chances.
I don't, man. The crazy thing is, and maybe
Pacers sweep is plus 3640 offshore.
I don't think they sweep, but I don't. OKC is still young. The Pacers are still young. When you got two young teams, you don't know how they're going to react to the bright lights, man. Like we saw before when the Heat were just dominant against Rick Carlisle in Dallas, remember? And they had a much better team than this OKC team did. And I think that they had a way bigger advantage over Dallas. Because if you think about it, Dallas was like dirt. And then I want to say J.J. Barrera was maybe like
in that series, J.J. Barrera. But for this year, that was the Jason Terry year.
Yeah, Jason Terry, the Jet, and all that.
He was one of those guys that was really the highlight of his career, right? I mean, he was never.
He was. Shout out J. Terry. He hangs with my boy Junie. Shout out Junie. They used to hang around in Dallas, but Junie is a diehard Oklahoma City fan. He probably be at the game tonight. He's a season ticket holder. He's been He's born and raised in Oklahoma City, so he loves that team. He told me before the season started, he's like, "This our year, we're gonna win," and I laughed at him. So he's 4 games away from being, on point with his pick. So shout out to my dog Junior in OKC. Yeah, I'm gonna take the plus 2.5 for the games with the Pacers. Just like I said, Rick Carlisle been there, done that. When it comes to the finals, I know that coaching doesn't matter as much in the NBA as other sports, but it matters some. And I think that he has a positive effect on his team. And he throws something at the Thunder they haven't seen this year. Like I said, they're still kids. Who's the veteran on the Thunder's team? Like, right? So everyone in that team is just playing really well. They're following SGA, but they're still all kids, man. So anything can happen when you're dealing with kids. The most veteran guys in this whole series are on the side of the Pacers. You got Carlisle, who's coached in the finals multiple times, and then you got Pascal Siakam, who could have very much been the finals MVP. He played so well with Toronto and has a ring. So don't sleep on the Pacers.
Yeah, my only concern in backing the Indiana Pacers is that this is like the AFC in the 80s, right? Where just one conference is just so much better. Just it takes so much more to come out of it, right? I mean, I'm trying to think. Did an AFC team win the whole 1980s in the Super Bowl? I don't think so.
You know what, Fred? With that said, I'm going on to do it right now.
Are you going to take the Pacers?
I'm taking the Pacers to win the NBA Finals.
All right. What price are you getting here? I see plus 598 off score.
I'm putting 500 on it as we speak.
Okay.
So that's 500 will pay.
You got a chance for $3,000.
$3K. It'll pay $3K. I'll get the 500 back tonight on baseball, and it'll cover it.
All right.
I'll just tell you it because now that that's why I like coming on here talking it out with you, because I already want to fish a little bit on it, but now I'm starting to think about it like, OKC hasn't dealt with a lot of adversity this year. Also, I'm thinking about Rick Carlisle, and I'm thinking about Pascal Siakam, and I'm like, wait a second. Is OKC got such a big advantage? Because when you look at the Thunder and Pacers, they play the same way. They win with numbers. They win with their depth. When you're dealing with that, now it comes down to, okay, can SGA carry OKC and put them on his back? Maybe. Then I look at the Pacers. Can Pascal Siakam and Tyrese carry them? Maybe. So I don't have a second guy that I trust. Jalen Williams, we'll see if he shows up. I've been a fan of his since Santa Clara. I know the kid can play. But we'll see, once again, how young guys in their first NBA Finals handle things. I just keep thinking back to when Rick Carlisle had Dallas so prepared against a Miami team with D-Wade, LeBron, much more talent than this OKC team. And he had those guys ready to play, man. And I think that Rick Carlisle is going to figure out a way to have the Pacers ready to play in this one, too. So it'll be me against the world. It'll be me, Mike Epps, and the Yes Sirs.
All right. Sounds good. Well, I like to hear it. And I know that people like it, too. It's, it's cool when we agree and stuff, but I think they like to hear the debates and the good reasons for to bet each side.
Yeah.
All right. This is going to be a 5-star solo shot here. Talk to me about the UFL playoffs. I'm not going to add anything at all, but the Michigan Panthers are going to be at Birmingham taking on the Stallions. Stallions will land 1.5. What do you got for us?
Well, Michigan is coached by Mike Nolan. Mike Nolan is a former NFL coach. He coached the 49ers. His dad, Dick Nolan, was a coach as well. He's been with the Panthers a few years now. He's struggled to find a quarterback to get things done. This year he has 2 of them, in Bryce Perkins and Danny Etling, 2 former, NFL quarterbacks. Neither started. They were backups. I think Perkins was with the Rams. I forgot who Etling was with, but Etling played at my LSU for the Tigers, so I know of him well. Then he's facing against who I call a Don of spring football, and Skip Holtz. He wins every year. Last year he didn't. So this year he'll be seeking some revenge. I think that the Birmingham Stallions will win this game at home. He has his boy Jamar Smith, who was his quarterback at Louisiana Tech. He also was the quarterback when they won the first, I believe, USFL before the leagues USFL and the XFL merged. Birmingham was in the USFL, and I believe he won the title as the starting quarterback, and I think was the MVP as well of that championship game. So Jamar Smith is back under center. He's playing well. Michigan does have some players, including Puka Nacua. Both his brothers play for Michigan. Samson is a wide receiver for them, and then his other brother plays on defense. Kai Nacua is a really good playmaker and safety for them. Also, some really good pass rushers over there for Michigan. So it won't be a layup. That's why the game is so tight. It's at -1.5. So with that said, I'm gonna go money line on it. I just gotta trust that Skip Holtz figures out a way. Deion Kane is unguardable at receiver for the Stallions. So give me the team with the most experience and the team that's wearing the ring. So I'm going with Birmingham Stallions money line. I think it's -130.
All right, you hear it, Birmingham Stallions there for a 5-star. Next up, I don't know the line on this one, but the DC Defenders are taking on the St. Louis Battlehawks. How are you approaching this game?
2.5 St. Louis at home, and that's a good number right there. Jordan Tiamu, quarterbacks, DC. He used to be the quarterback for St. Louis when St. Louis was in the XFL, but as I told you, both the leagues came together. They've had the same head coach since the franchise started, Anthony Beck, who used to be a tight end, actually played at LSU as well. His son is the quarterback for Iowa State. Anthony Beck does a really good job designing offense for St. Louis. They lost their starting quarterback earlier in the year, but he's replaced by TCU legend Max Duggar, who's done a really good job. TC's coached by Reggie Barlow, defensive-minded guy, used to be an NFL player. He has those guys ready to play. They do have, some weapons, a really good running back in Abram Smith, who came out of Baylor. But St. Louis is just too explosive on offense. Duggar is starting to get, better in the passing game. If he doesn't do what he needs to do, then they have Brandon Silvers as well. And Brandon Silvers can really throw it around because they have the best probably receiving core in the USFL. The UFL, at least, near the top for sure. Hakeem Butler for sure is the best receiver in the league. And he'll be outside. He's a threat to score from anywhere on the field. They also have a really good slot guy in Jakur Pearson. Good running back, Jacob Sailors. I think that St. Louis also defends home field -2.5, but I think it's -140. If you can find -140 later money line, you know me. If it's under 3, we like to go money line, wide routes with the points. But I like both the home teams in this one, both the short dogs. The short favorites in this one. Give me St. Louis Battlehawks money line.
All right, let's move to the future. Who you got here? How many games? I told you I got Thunder in 5, but you're on the Pacers. How many games now here are we doing this?
If we go Pacers, I go Pacers in 6, but I'm not gonna do an exacta. I already took them +2.5 for 500 to win 550, and then I just said forget it. Let's just put 500 also on the series at +500. I mean, I can always catch up if they end up tying the series up. So I like that. When it comes to these futures, I'm always looking for the best way to invest. And you guys know I do it for the underground underdog. So I love betting dogs because if you bet plus money long term, you'll always be in the black. Guys who chase juice, you're always catching up because one big L can set you back a lot of wagers.
French Open on the women's side. Sabalenka defeats Swiatek today.
Destroyed her.
Swiatek, well, she didn't destroy her until the 3rd set.
That's what I'm saying. I was so disappointed in Iga.
But we had talked about this, and we said that was one of our concerns and why we weren't going to back her on the favorite price, that we haven't seen this from her before in her career, but that she could wilt mentally. And it felt like that happened.
It felt like I thought that she would play.
She got broken in the 3rd and was just like, it's over.
It's over. Like, and usually she would.
There was no fight.
She would have fought right back and tried to break her, but it was like I tweeted about this. Eager had me caught up because I don't bet her a lot anyway, but I bet her at the French Open because we know that's.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that she was like Nadal, where when it comes to
Yeah.
that stadium, she owns it. But what
Mm-hmm.
happened to her, she caught some bad luck with the rain being forecasted because an open stadium, I think that match goes a little bit different. With that
Mm-hmm.
stadium closed, man, arena can use all the power. So Sabs was
Yeah.
able to blow off the court because now they're just playing an indoor game. It's no elements involved, and the
Right.
elements would have definitely affected her power. You know how Sabalenka is. She would have been committing so many errors in that win. So when I initially capped this game, I thought that Eagle would win. I ended up taking her money line plus 1.5 second set. So I ended up still making a profit. And I did a little bit on the over 21.5. But my biggest bet was her to win because you rather get her on the French Open money line. But when they closed the roof, I said, I'm dead. As soon as I started the roof was closed, I'm like, Sabs is going to smoke her because Sabs just is a better player than her right now. Iga just, was going off of lore, and I was thinking that she was holding on to her brand because what does she have spread if she doesn't win this? Like, I feel like her career has a chance of spiraling. She better win the French Open next year because she really has a chance of going into a dark place, man. And I think falling off as one of the top players in the world because she's not winning any Masters. Did she win a Masters this year? I can't think of one she won. So French Open is supposed to be her court, and she allowed Sabs to go on her court. And Sabs does not like clay, and she still was able to get it done. So shout out to my girl Sabs. I believed in you before everyone did. I remember when you and Noops laughed at me when I took her to win the Australian Open like 3 years ago before she won the finals. And now look at her. She's the number one player in the world, the face of tennis right now, her and Coco. She's the international face and Coco is the American face. So they match off number one and number two. But I think the Wicked Witch is finally really dead. And the tour has figured out Swiatek and she won't recover, man.
You don't like Ego.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Well, I do like
I see
Eagle.
you tweeting that
Let me
little
tell you what I don't like
psychopath.
about Eagle. This is what I don't like about
You
Eagle.
called her a little psychopath.
She's a psycho. That's what I don't like about her. I like people who win with grace and lose with grace. I just don't like this is why I love Sabalenka so much. I love Coco so much. If they're getting their ass beat, they're never calling for a trainer and pretending like they're hurt or anything. They're not going on a
Yeah.
long toilet break. They just go tough it out like, come on, let's go. Eager does all of those little gamemanships, and I don't like that, man, making people hold their serve forever. And that's why she made a lot of enemies in the locker room, and a lot of people are dancing on her grave. They're so happy that she got caught with the steroids. They're so happy that she got caught. I mean, that she's losing now in the French. It's not that I dislike her at all. As a person, she seems like a really sweet lady as far as off the court. I just hate the way that she does the stuff on the court. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and that's been around in tennis for as long as I can remember. Let's talk about the men's side.
Okay.
We got two futures on one side of the
Oh,
draw.
before that, we didn't pick. Are you picking Savs to win?
No, I'm picking Coco.
Smart man. You know tennis. I forgot. You understand the surface and how big a difference it's going to make. They're 5-5
Yeah.
head to head, 1-1 on clay. Unfortunately for Coco, the roof will probably be closed. I already been checking out the weather. So the roof's going to be open on Sunday for the men. So elements will be involved. But it's going to be closed most likely for the women. And that's advantage to Sabs. But even with that said, we've seen Coco beat Sabs in the finals at the U.S. Open. They tend to trade. And the last time that they played in the semifinals in Australia earlier this year, Sabs got her. So I think that Coco, me and you always talked about the one day she was going to win the French. That was her favorite tournament, the one she wanted the most. She won it as a junior at 14, beating an 18-year-old in the final. So I think that she finally gets it done as well, Spread. So Spread and I both are on Coco plus 155. I also have in my pocket the plus 600. I took it before the tournament started as my favorite to win, and people crushed me. And on X was saying I was crazy. She's going to double fault her way out of it, and she's still standing. So And she hasn't had a lot of pushback either. Coco hasn't, so I think that she's going to be a lot fresher than Sabs.
I think she's going to be loose too. I feel like I don't want to say a lot of pressure on Sabalenka, but everyone expects Sabalenka to win.
Right.
And I think that for especially, we've talked about all of these players, right? Because it's a changing of the guard in the women's right now. A lot of the top players are younger. Things like pressure and stuff matter a little more than to say when you get older and you're a little more used to it. But speaking of older and used to it, right? You had two futures on one side of the bracket, right? So fortunately, the two men played for each other. Yeah. Unfortunately for you, I mean, kind of, right? But the guy with the longer odds, Alexander Zverev, was not able to come through.
Yeah.
Man, and I feel like this is a great opportunity for him. I don't feel that Novak is anywhere near the player he was in the last couple of years. You can see the physical deterioration. What is he now, 37, 38? I mean, he shouldn't even really be playing. It's a testament to his skill level and his dedication and his physical fitness and how good a job he's done taking care of himself that he's even able to compete at this time of his career. But I thought it was another missed opportunity for Zverev, man. The way that he was playing going into this match, he was favored. And a lot of people, oh, that's crazy, right? Because they're looking at the whole careers. I go, but if because you and I, we like to watch, right? We throw out everything. We throw out the names. We throw out everything. We just say, how are they doing in this tournament? And I said, no, if you look at the way they're playing this tournament, I felt that Zverev's form was a little better going into the match. Just like Iga, I felt it was mental. I felt that, Novak had those nerves of steel, and he just kept putting pressure on Zverev, just, kept getting the ball back, doing the things that he likes to do. And I was really disappointed that Zverev, as well as he was playing, could not find some of that form and kind of crumbled a little bit mentally, because I felt that, as well as Novak played tactically, part of those tactics were putting mental pressure on Sasha, and he wasn't able to come through. So it still looks like we're on our crash course that we said before the tournament started. Sinner and Alcaraz. I'm on Carlos, but boy, Sinner's look damn good.
He looks good.
So it feels like we're getting those two people. Are you sticking with your guns? Because I know it's tough watching this current form, but I'm still going to take Carlos. What do you think? You're sticking with your guy Sinner?
Well, I'm gonna let Djokovic ride out, but I do think Sinner is more motivated to beat Carlos. But the thing about my guy Carlos is we know he can turn it up a notch when it matters. So when his level is at its highest, no one can beat him in the world. That's why I always say he's the best in the world. Because his highest level against Sinner's highest level is no competition. It's still Carlos 3-0. So Sinner plays more like Djokovic with less skill as far as and less variety. But what I mean by that is he kind of is a guy who's gonna wear you out. He's gonna try to outlast you, and he has a big forehand, and he's gonna stay back. He's not coming to the net a lot. And you got Carlos, he can just do whatever. That's why he's won the French and the Wimbledon and US Open, because he can play on anything. It doesn't matter, because he can volley at Wimbledon, or he can stay back and hit with you on clay. So he's just a phenomenal player. And, he's one of my favorite guys I've ever watched play tennis, man. He's just a really good kid with a really great smile, man. The crowd loves him, and he loves to play to the crowd. And I love everything that he's doing right now for tennis. And him and the Fox are headed toward each other, because the Fox is looking just like the best return man I've ever seen in my life on tennis. I just been betting him to break like over and over and over. It's just been paying, because he's breaking guys who he has no business. You would think that these guys are going to hold their serve against anyone in the world. But, man, I don't know if it's his new stance or whatever he's doing is working. Him and old Darren Cahill, who's out here in Vegas a lot. I know Darren Cahill is a good friend, another Aussie friend of mine. But, yeah, man, I'm riding out my Djokovic ticket. You can never count out, the OG. As you saw what he did with Zverev, he just outsmarted him. After he saw that Zverev couldn't handle the drop shot and it was giving him problems, he just wore him out with it, man. He just wore him out. And McEnroe was making some really great points calling that match, because he was saying, man, Zverev has to get more variety to his game. If you think about it, spread, but Zverev plays just like a robot. Like if you created like a AI program and made a tennis guy, it would be just him, just 6'6", I serve hard. I hit hard from the baseline, but I always go over the middle of the net. Like, what does Zverev do besides serve hard? So he beats guys because he grinds them down and, strokes from the baseline, but it hasn't worked. He blew his opportunity in 2020, and he's never probably going to get, a major. And what's crazy, he has everything else. Zverev's won the gold medal. Zverev's won the ATP finals. He's won a crazy amount of Masters tournaments.
Right.
He can't win a major, man. He just can't win a major. And I think that it's going to forever haunt him. The 2020 match when he was serving for the U.S. Open against Team, and you haven't seen or heard from Team since. Team was even hurt that match. His wrist was messed up, and he let him beat him off the heart. It was no one in the stadium. That's when COVID was going on. He should have won that match. He'll never forget that. And
that was the most fun low-level final I can remember.
Yeah, they played. I
mean, just if you took the names off, it didn't feel like you were watching like the second round of a 250. Like it was not good tennis, but it was fun because it went so far in the fifth set. The drama, both players' first major.
Yeah.
Every time you thought some guy was going to go through, the other guy made a comeback or made a mistake. I mean, I remember that being the most entertaining low-level tennis.
Zverev's whole career would be different if he would have won that match. Like, I think he would have won another major too, because he would have had like Sabalenka, the monkey's off my back now, so I could play looser in these big ones. You can't ever take this from me. So I hate that for Sasha, man, but I'm sure he still be a tennis Hall of Famer because look at all the stuff he's accomplished on the court, man. So he's still young. He's 27. He probably has 3 more years of prime.
It's just this new generation coming up is so good, right?
Yeah, he's not
Sinner,
good.
you got Alcaraz. I mean,
I don't know if Sinner's
I think Rune's going to continue to improve.
I don't know if Sinner's body's going to hold up, though, spread.
That's true. It might not.
I don't know, but I think that Carlos is here to stay. It's just he's going to play for – he seems like one of those guys that's going to have fun during the year and doesn't care about being number one. But when the majors come, he's going to show you who he is.
Yeah. All right, it's time for the ball.
I lean Sinner's spread just because Carlos made him look so bad at Rome. But I expect whatever the games is to go over. You can just pretty much bet that. Same with the Sabalenka and Coco.
They'll probably set it at like 39.5, I'll bet.
I can see it. That means it got to go to 4 sets. And now I think that
it'll be 39.5, maybe 40, 41.5.
Yeah.
So, all right, ball and parlay time. What's your favorite play for the weekend?
All right, we're going to go.
What day is it? Thursday? I don't even know what day it is. I told you I had a rough day yesterday. I'm like, where are we? NBA Finals is on tonight, right? I mean,
Thursday.
And I need to tune in tonight, right? There's going to be a game, a basketball game on. Okay.
A guy threw me off on Twitter yesterday. Shout out Woo. He always watches the show. Woo. He was like 5-star. Who you like on OKC? I'm giving him. He's like, hey man, it's only for the private group. Then I looked at the thing. I was like, man, it's tomorrow. I was like, I'm sorry, man. We're doing a show tomorrow. We'll tell you what to do. Well, tonight on that game, as I said. I'm looking at props on now. I don't have a side, but I gotta lean the Pacers on the plus the 10. But move with caution on that one. I'll tell you like that. I will be playing it, but I have an opportunity with live betting to catch back up if I lose the match. Lose the game and don't like how it's going. But I will play the Pacers plus 10 tonight. Also, I like Coco. I got her at plus 1.5 sets and minus 150. I feel like that's a gimme, man. So. Even though the juice is a little steep, it's worth it because I think that Coco for sure wins a set, and I really think she's going to win the match as well. So I got her for the match at plus 155. And then the UFL teams, I already told you guys, take the Stallions money line, the Battlehawks money line. You could do them separate and put them together in the parlay and really eat well.
All right, I'm approaching tonight's game a little different. I agree with 5-star. 10 points, probably a little too many. For Indiana. However, Oklahoma City's net rating was 13.5 this year, which, I mean, that counts as losses. So if there's any team that can cover a double-digit spread, it is the Thunder. However, and you're going to like this 5-star, right? I'm taking a page out of your book. Why don't I just cut this game in half?
There you go.
I'm just going to lay it for the first half because we've seen this with the Pacers, right? OKC could be up by 18 going in the third. I go, Pacers are still alive. Don't turn this game off, right? Any other game I might be thinking, maybe I'll just put this one on mute and maybe throw something on the other TV. Nope.
Right.
Keep this one going because I think the Pacers are going to be live, and I don't think they're going to give up either. So I do believe Oklahoma City is going to come out quick. They're at home. I think it's going to be crazy there. I think it's going to be absolutely insane in both arenas. I'm not just saying – I'm not even saying that OKC fans are better than Indiana fans. I think it's going to be crazy in Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Game 3 as well.
Both. It's going to be college atmosphere, both of them.
Yeah, so I think they're going to ride that. I think they get out to an early lead. Hopefully I can just cash that, and that way if a crazy comeback comes, I can just enjoy it rather than throwing stuff against my wall, which the Pacers have made me do a couple times when I'm counting my money at halftime, and then I go, weren't we ahead 18 going in the fourth?
They were down 13.
I only laid 2.5.
Or something like that. They broke like the record for like 9 points or more. I want to say within a minute being down was like 1 in 1,000, and they've done it 3 times.
Yeah. So that's why I'm gonna cut that game in half. But yeah, no, it's fun to get on here, talk with you today. We'll be back. We're not even sure what day next week, but we'll definitely do a show next week. We'll check in, talk about what we saw at the French Open, talk about where we've seen in the NBA Finals, and then look forward to grass season in tennis, 5-star. And you and I have a little secret. We'll give that out next week. But to me, it's the quickest handicap of the season. That's for sure.
You see the grass behind me. You don't see the tennis.
I know. I didn't want to mention it. I don't want YouTube to try and copyright us here.
Yeah, that's terrible. That's Birmingham on behind us, man. But I was watching a little bit earlier, and I think they're now playing the replays. As Spread said, we'll be back next week, man. This is a football show. First and foremost, we know all sports, but what we like to talk about with you guys most of all is football. Just most of you guys come to the show. That's how it started 5 years ago, was just us talking about football, man. So with that said, we'll be here in the fall like we were before, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, here 3 times a week. You can depend on the time, but we kind of freestyle during the off season because this is our time to catch up with our families because betting sports takes up so much time that people do not understand with the research, with the time spent watching the games, and then don't even add doing these shows. So that's the reason why we haven't been here as much. Summertime is our break time, and we kind of enjoy the family, but we do like to tap in with you guys. I want to send a shout out to all of the guys who recently joined the private group to join the Supreme Clientele. We had a really good day yesterday and the day before. This morning didn't start so good because the D-backs and another tennis match. I took Tom over, man, for the first set against Giacomo. She loses the first set and wins the match, of course. So those got us a little bit behind, but we're about to catch up. Shout out to you guys. We appreciate you for that. Go to www.thewageringworld.com right now if you want some of the merch like this, the oatmeal beats no meal, the Wagering World logo, cap and things like that. And we'll be having more merchandise on there as football season comes. Guys, we just appreciate you all for tuning in. We appreciate you for rocking with us. Hit that like button. It's always us versus the machine. Anything else for the people spread before we get out of here?
No, I'm excited. We got fun summer. And then, don't look now. I think it's only like 97 days away before NFL kickoff.
It's almost time for football season. Guys, hold tight. Hang with us. We'll be back regularly talking football with you guys in August, and I cannot wait. As always, I dedicate this show to the greatest Houston sports fan I know, and that's my father, John H. Lindsay. I do this for you, Dad. Hey, guys, hit that like button, subscribe to The Wagering World. It's always us versus the machine. See you guys next week.